7 times. 7 World Cups in a row. 7 times Mexico reached the round of 16. 7 times they went home at exactly the same point. Not in the group stage, not in the quarterfinals. Always the round of 16. Always the 5th game. Always the wall. They even have a name for it. El Quinto Partido, the 5th game. The game Mexico has never played. 7 different squads, 7 different coaches, 7 different reasons, and every single time, the same result. Same round, same exit, same silence on the flight home. On June 11th, 2026, in front of 87,000 people at the Estadio Azteca, in their own city, in their own country, Mexico begins their 8th attempt. This time, they're playing at home. Mexico doesn't need an introduction to football. Football needs an introduction to Mexico. The Estadio Azteca hosted the 1970 World Cup final, then the 1986 World Cup final. Now it will host the 2026 opening match. 3 World Cups, 1 stadium. No other venue in the history of football has done that. You don't build that kind of history by accident. But Mexico is more than a stadium. It's 130 million people, 68 indigenous languages, and a food culture that UNESCO declared an intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Tacos, mole, tamales, dishes that took centuries to build, layer by layer, from Aztec kitchens to colonial markets to street corners that never close. This is a country where food is identity, where football is religion, and where losing a World Cup match feels like both at the same time. The national team has always carried more than a badge. It carries 130 million expectations, a century of pride, and the weight of a streak that nobody in this country wants to talk about, but everybody knows by heart. Every neighborhood, every street corner, every family dinner eventually ends with one question. Did El Tri win? The problem is the answer has been the same for 36 years. Almost, but not quite. Edson Álvarez, captain December 2025. Mexico's captain goes down in training with an ankle injury. January, he tries to come back. The ankle gives out again. February 17th, surgery. Edson Álvarez, 28 years old. The man Aguirre has built this entire system around, on an operating table 4 months before the World Cup, on home soil. For a few weeks, the entire country held its breath, because when Álvarez plays, Mexico looks like a real team. When he doesn't, they look lost. That's not an opinion. That's 3 years of evidence. He is the engine, the shield, and the voice in that dressing room, all 3 at once. Captains don't get to choose their timing. The World Cup doesn't move for anyone. He came back, and nobody forgot what those weeks looked like without him. Raúl Jiménez, 34 years old, 44 goals in international football. The man has worn the national team shirt 123 times. In November 2020, Giménez fell unconscious on a pitch in London. Fractured skull, emergency surgery. Doctors told him his career might be over. His wife was in the stands when it happened. The stadium went silent. Nobody knew if he was going to wake up the same person. He came back 9 months later, scored on his return, kept going. Younger strikers came and went. Santiago Giménez arrived as the heir apparent. The narrative wrote itself. The old king steps aside. Except Giménez didn't read that narrative. This season at Fulham, while Giménez was injured in Milan, Giménez scored in 3 of 5 consecutive Premier League games. At 34, with a plate in his head, on home soil. If Mexico score on June 11th, the smart money is on the man who was never supposed to still be here, Santiago Giménez. At Feyenoord, Santiago Giménez played 105 games and scored 65 goals. The Netherlands didn't just like him, they built attacks around him. AC Milan paid 32 million euros to bring him to Serie A at 23 years old. That's not a transfer, that's a statement. Then the injury started. Surgery in December, 1 goal all season. Months on the treatment table while Giménez kept scoring. There were weeks when his World Cup spot felt genuinely in doubt. Not because Aguirre gave up on him. Aguirre never stopped calling his name. But because football doesn't wait. And the longer he was out, the louder the question became. Giménez came back in March. Aguirre kept faith. And now, heading into the most important tournament of his life, he arrives carrying a question mark that wasn't there 12 months ago. 2 strikers, 1 shirt. A competition that starts the moment they land in Mexico City. If he answers it on that Azteca pitch, it won't just be a goal, it'll be a statement. Gilberto Mora, October 14th, 2008. That's his birthday. He wasn't born when Mexico last made a deep run in a World Cup. He wasn't born when the streak started. He has grown up entirely inside the era of El Quinto Partido, the 5th game that never came. At 17, he is the most valuable Mexican player in Liga MX according to Transfer Market. 10 million euros. He was the most prolific scorer in the world under 17 in 2025. He won a Gold Cup final at an age when most players are still trying to get their driver's license. European clubs have been watching him for 2 years. They're still watching, and in 3 weeks, he starts for Mexico at the Estadio Azteca in front of 87,000 people in the opening match of the World Cup against South Africa on the biggest stage in football at 17 years old. Some players feel the weight of that moment. Mora looks like he was built for it. Obed Vargas, born in Anchorage, Alaska, American passport, parents from Mexico. He could have been US MNT. The system was there, the path was clear. He grew up in the United States. He played youth football in the United States. On paper, the choice was already made. He chose green. At 20, Atletico Madrid came calling. He already had the shirt. He already had the badge. Some decisions don't need explaining. They just need to be made. And in a squad full of players who could have been somewhere else, Vargas might be the one who made that choice most deliberately. All right, here's the team. Javier Aguirre's 4-3-3. Raúl Rangel in goal. A back four of Jorge Sanchez, Cesar Montes, Johan Vazquez, and Jesus Gallardo. Midfield, Marcel Ruiz and Alvaro Fidalgo supporting Edson Álvarez. Up front, Roberto Alvarado on the right, Gilberto Mora on the left, Raúl Jiménez through the middle. The system is built on one principle, control. One defensive pivot protecting the back line, two creative midfielders connecting the lines, wide forwards who press hard and track back. It doesn't look spectacular, it looks functional. And functional is what Aguirre has always trusted. He has never been the coach who chases beauty, he chases results. The weak points are real. The right back position has never been fully settled. The center backs have no reliable cover, and the entire system depends on Alvarez staying healthy, which after this season is never a guarantee. But the strengths are real too. Giménez's movement, Mora's chaos, Fidalgo's vision, and sitting on the bench as assistant coach, Rafael Marquez, the man who captained Mexico in 5 World Cups and is already confirmed as the next head coach, the greatest Mexican player of all time, watching, waiting, already signed. That bench isn't just a bench, it's a symbol of where this program is trying to go. Group stage, South Africa, South Korea, Czech Republic. Mexico should get through. The question is never the group. The question is always Game 5. For 36 years, something has broken in that 5th game. A goal that shouldn't have stood, a penalty that shouldn't have been given, a mistake from a player who had never made one before. Football finds a way to break the heart that's been broken before. It's almost personal at this point. But this year is different in one way that no other year has been. The 87,000 people at the Azteca will be Mexican. The noise will be Mexican. The air will be Mexican. Every corner kick, every free kick, every moment of silence before a penalty, all of it wrapped in green and red and the sound of a country that has been waiting 36 years for a different answer. Gilberto Mora has never read the script about the 5th game. He was born after it was written. Maybe that's exactly what Mexico needs. Not someone who remembers the wall, someone who doesn't know it's there.